everyone, I'm Jess and I'm the content manager here at Course Report. Course Report is the resource for helping people find the right coding boot camps for them. If you haven't used Course Report yet, you should definitely check it out because you can research the best coding boot camps all over the world, find out which coding languages to learn, where to apply, and how to fund your very own coding boot camp experience. Today, I'm so happy to have Daniel Aguirre joining us to talk about his coding bootcamp experience. So Daniel graduated from TrueCoders in October 2021, and he now works as a software developer at Nexient. So thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today, Daniel. You have such a great tech job now, and I definitely want to talk about that soon. But let's start with what you were up to before TrueCoders. So what inspired you to make a career change into software development in 2021?
So I actually was working construction in a trailer plant before I went through TrueCoders. Programming is something that I had an interest in already. I had kind of worked with C# specifically a little bit on and off for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. But it was really hard to do while working full-time and raising a family. So I got an opportunity to quit working, and my wife started working while I went through the boot camp. And it's been really great because, like I said, I had done it before, and it's something that I enjoy, just the problem solving and being able to create things with just writing lines of code is something that really interested me. So decided to take the class and ended up with Nexient.
So there are so many online coding boot camps out there now. What set TrueCoders apart from the rest?
So I think one of the things that really set them apart was pretty much like the success rate. So they had just recently, well, I don't think recently, but they had switched to doing all online classes. And during the time that they were doing it, in person, they had like, I want to say near 100% success rate, because it's really teaches you the fundamentals you need to know to get you started. Because at the end of the day, like, you're going into an entry level position, so you're not going to be expected to know everything in the world. But they definitely focus on what you needed to know to get you into the career. And just like finding out that they had such great success, and that it really just boils down to the person like putting the effort in. That's really what made us decide to go with TrueCoders.
And I'd love to know a bit about the application process to get into TrueCoders. Was it difficult? Did you have to complete like a technical challenge, anything like that?
Actually, it was extremely easy for me because my wife handled most of it. So we kind of like talked about a few different places, but she actually handled talking to them, did the payment, and all I really had to do was sign into a Discord server. They sent me a link to my email that she gave them. So it was really hands-off for me as far as, getting connected with them. But then once I got into the Discord server, I had connections to all of the instructors, other students, and I was able to get started from there.
Once you were in the boot camp, what did you learn? Like, what did the curriculum cover?
So it started off with covering Git, because source control is really important. So we went over Git, and we used that all throughout the course to push our projects up. So each time that we would do a lesson, we would push it up to GitHub so the instructor could look at it. And after that, we just kind of started on C#. We went from the basics of like declaring a variable all the way up to creating an application that works with an API or works with a database. So they started from like ground zero and work you all the way up. And they also go over like HTML, JavaScript, and SQL. But I would definitely say that like C# is the main point that you focus on.
And did you find that the teaching style in this online classroom worked with how you personally learn?
I definitely think that the teaching style fit with me. I like to learn by like doing. So like being hands-on is best for me. And the day would start with like maybe doing a quiz to recap what you did the day before, and then you would go through with the instructor would like teach whatever you were going to do that day, and then you would do it. And then if you still didn't get it from all of that, you could go through and read the document that teaches everything that you just learned that day. So like whether you learn from watching people, hearing them talk about it, doing it yourself, or just going through and reading it, or just doing the quiz recap the next day. Really, there's like so many different ways that it enforces what you're learning.
Since this is an immersive online bootcamp experience, I'd love to know how you juggled parenting and family responsibility with finishing this program.
Well, I mean, when my kids were home, because that did happen sometimes where my kids weren't in school, and I would kind of just turn my camera off so that, other people didn't have to see them running all over the place, right? But the videos are recorded, so if you need to miss a day, you can do that. You can do a one-on-one with the teacher if you're not understanding something because you got distracted. As far as like juggling it, it was a lot easier for me because my kids were in school. So for me it was like 9 to 5, or sorry, not 5, 9 to 3. So it was pretty easy, not a huge chunk of my day, and I actually spent extra hours after class just kind of reinforcing and doing extra projects. But if you do have a lot going on in your life, they do also have the flex plan, and you can just switch. If you're like halfway through the course, you can switch and be like, hey, I need to do flex. Or you can jump back and start on the next course that's starting up next. So they're very flexible with working with you and understanding that like life happens, and the instructors are there to help you out if you have to catch up.
I love hearing that. They sound so supportive.
Definitely.
I'd love to know a bit about the projects that you completed at the boot camp, because that's usually such an important piece of coding boot camps. Did you do a lot of group projects, or were they mostly like sort of big capstones?
Most of the projects were like exercises for what you did that day. And so a lot of them are kind of like smaller things, just implementing core focuses. But I actually was able to use like some of the later projects that we do that teach like working with APIs and databases. I actually just use the same projects that we did in class on my resume. So the fundamentals that you're learning and you're doing in each project, definitely you're able to use on your resume. You can create more and expand on them, and that makes them even more valuable. But as far as projects that we did, one worked with taking like a CSV file, which is kind of like something you could get from Excel, and you take it and basically get like GPS locations from it. So that was kind of cool, working with geo coordinates and learning how you can do that with different namespaces that already exist for you. So that was one of the projects, and then just working with like the APIs and databases were definitely cool.
So many people who come to visit Course Report are always wondering about how boot camps are preparing students for the job hunt, since a lot of times people are enrolling to make a career change. I'd love to know, how did TrueCoders prepare you for the job hunt?
So there's a career workshop, which I went to their meetings. It was like 1 hour, 2 days a week. I think it was like Tuesday and Thursday. I try to go to all of them. Sometimes I couldn't, and again, it's recorded. So if I missed one, I just went back and watched it. But from the very beginning, they're telling you like go to those. They don't force you to, but it's really up to you to like make your way for your career, right? So they really suggest that you go to them, and they'll push to like start getting your resume ready from day one, helping you get LinkedIn set up, and you can do a one-on-one, not just with the instructors for all the technical stuff you're learning, but you can do a one-on-one with their career coach to help you to get prepared, whether it's just helping you straighten out your resume, or helping you, answer different questions, or even helping you figure out what job you want to look for. They'll help you go over all of that, and you can, just as much as you need to. Just schedule an appointment, and just figure out, what it is that you need to work on.
And were you able to use any of your projects in your job interviews?
Yeah, definitely. So like, I did let them know that I had recently graduated from a boot camp, and they asked what one of my favorite projects was in the class. And there's a weekly challenges that you go through, and you kind of answer a bunch of different questions each week. And I use that as an opportunity to kind of explain one of the different tools that I really honed in on during the class. And that led them to kind of like take the interview in that direction on what I was actually proficient in. So that was really great. And I definitely say, like, whatever projects you really like focus in on during the course, that you can bring them into the conversation during your interview and use that as an advantage to show what you've learned. So definitely, yeah.
And now you're a software developer at Nexient, which is so great. How did you end up getting this job? Was it a connection through the TrueCoders team?
Yes, actually, my instructor connected me with a recruiter, and from there, the recruiter just kind of went over some basic questions with me, gave me some feedback. But that actually was a connection that I got through TrueCoders.
That's awesome. Did you feel prepared for the technical interview? I know so many coding bootcamp grads just are very nervous about that.
I definitely felt like partially prepared. There's always that imposter syndrome, but I actually was working with some instructors there at TrueCoders, like did a few kind of like technical whiteboarding preparation stuff, which I actually didn't have a whiteboarding question in my interview. But at least I got that experience out there, and they gave me a chance to tell them like what it was that I wanted to focus on, or just throw random stuff at me. So I definitely got help there to get prepared for the technical interview.
And what team or teams are you working on at Nexient?
I'm currently on the .NET practice. I'm actually on the bench, so I haven't been assigned to a client project yet. But I work in the .NET developer practice.
And without giving away any company secrets, what kinds of projects are you working on?
So because I'm on the bench, basically it's all like for learning. And so I'm working on an internal project, and it basically is taking and recreating something called planning poker, which is kind of like a tool that teams can use to vote on how long a task might take. So it's creating like all the back end for how a application would work to support that kind of tool. And it's definitely been very interesting. I've learned a lot of stuff working on it.
And as a new developer at Nexient, do you have any kind of mentor or anything like that to help support you?
Yeah, actually, I have not only the lead and the manager that's on the bench, but I also, when I first started, I had they call it a buddy that's assigned to you to help you kind of get transition during your first couple of weeks. And then after that, they assign you a career coach who's actually dedicated to you for a longer term of time. Basically, unless you request a new one or they leave the company, to kind of help you grow during your time there, because Nexient's very focused on like employee growth.
Wow, that's great. Super comprehensive. I'd love to know if you're using everything that you learned at TrueCoders now on the job, or if you're already learning so many new things.
I've definitely learned a lot of new things, but just, I wouldn't say everything, but a lot of the stuff that I've learned has built off of what I learned at TrueCoders. So like, we may learn to work with one tool in TrueCoders, and I work with a different one here at Nexient, but I understand how this tool works because of the one that I learned at TrueCoders, and because of the way that they taught not just how to use a tool, but teach the fundamentals of like, what is it that the tool is doing. So definitely the things that I learned at TrueCoders gave me like that foundation to help me once I get into the workplace to continue to learn new tools without kind of having to start over.
And for any incoming TrueCoders students, do you have any advice for them? Anything you wish you had known before day one of the boot camp?
I would say as far as advice goes, just like it all really depends on you. So, you can't go in there and say, okay, well, I went through this course and now I'm going to get a job. Like, you need to go through the course and you need to learn the material, practice it. If you have time, try to, put extra time in and create new projects, just, doing whatever interests you, because that's how you're going to learn, is just practicing and keeping an open mind to things and being focused on, continuing to learn. This is the kind of career where you're going to be constantly learning, and you have to be open to learning new things. You don't want to shut out something because it's new and hard to understand, because there's going to be a lot of things that are challenging and hard to understand. But as long as you can just keep going and try to figure it out on your own, but realize when you're not able to, and reach out to your support, because whether you're going through class with TrueCoders, you're going to have support there, or if you're on the job, you're going to have support there. So at the end of the day, just try to figure it out on your own. If you can't, reach out, find support, but you have to put that work in, because if you don't put the work in, you don't, actively try to learn what's going on, then you're just wasting your time.
What has been the biggest challenge in this career change journey for you?
The biggest challenge is probably for me spending time away from my computer, because I work at home now. And so, I'm kind of here at both my personal computer and my work computer like all the time. So maybe just kind of like balancing it out a little bit, but definitely working on that.
And so far, looking back on this experience, was TrueCoders worth it for you?
I would definitely say that TrueCoders is worth it. I actually actively tell my friends that they should do it. I got somebody that I used to work with at the trailer plant has gone through it, and like, I had done some C# before going to class, but he didn't have any previous experience with coding. Like, he was just like, oh, you did this and you got a great job now? Okay, I'll do it. And so he just jumped in. He's about a month in now, and he's doing great, even though he's never done a line of code before. He's going through the class with no problems.
So I think that's the perfect place to wrap up this Q&A. Thank you so much for talking with me and sharing your bootcamp experience with us today, Daniel, and best of luck in your new tech career. And thanks to all of you for watching. We're going to be posting a transcript of this video interview on the Course Report blog with contact information for TrueCoders, just in case you're interested in applying for an upcoming cohort. And in the meantime, follow Course Report on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're a bootcamp alumni, don't forget to post a review of your coding bootcamp experience on Course Report. Your review is a huge help to anyone thinking of getting into tech today.